It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccerphiles Canada. Here we go. Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview by Soccerphiles Canada. I'm Kevin and this is Series 32 on the players of the 2026 World Cup. This episode covers Mexico's players and it brings us to the end of Part 2 and into Part 3. So we want to welcome listeners to the short version of the mediacast here, and what we're going to do is start section 3 with a quick review of the candidates and their likelihood, which is what we did in Part 2 in more detail. We were introducing the players there, and after that we'll have some other concluding matters. But let's go back to the top of the list and race through what we got. For the manager, we have Javier Aguirre. We're considering him a definite candidate. We don't think they'll change before the Cup. On to goalkeepers, we have a definite candidate in Luis Malagón and Raul Rangel, and a likely candidate in Carlos Acevedo. We won't go into players at the possible but unlikely level or the seemingly off the squad level, except for goalkeepers here, because I do want to say that Guillermo Ochoa, the veteran goalkeeper, is possible but unlikely here. Moving to central defence, we have two definite candidates, Cesar Montes and Johan Vazquez. Those are both at the definite level, not at the likely level, but at the possible level, Jesus Orozco and Ramon Juarez, both of those. So a bit thin on central defenders. I'll talk about that in closing thoughts. We move on to left back here. We have a definite candidate in Jesus Gallardo and a likely candidate in Mateo Chavez there, and that's all we have at the possible level or above. So over to right backs, no definite candidate over here, but two likely candidates, Israel Reyes and Jorge Sanchez. We also have a possible candidate in Kevin Alvarez on the right back position. And that's it for defense. Up to defensive midfielders, and we have captain Edson Alvarez as a definite candidate. Also definite Eric Lira. None at the likely level, but at the possible level we have Fidel Ambriz. We're going by kind of the coding they have, although most of these players may appear anywhere in the midfield. For players coded as central midfielders, we have Orbelin Pineda as a definite candidate, as well as Marcel Ruiz. No candidates at the likely level, but four at the possible level, Luis Chavez, Carlos Alberto Rodriguez, Luis Romo, and Obed Vargas there. We also have players coded as left and right midfielders. Let's look at the left midfielders. It's Diego Lainez at the likely level, and then at the possible level, Angel Sepulveda. Right midfielders, we have a candidate at the likely level, Eric Sanchez, and a possible candidate, Rodrigo Huescas. Upfield we go to the left attacking midfielders, and we have no definite candidate, but a likely candidate in Irving Lozano and also Alexis Vega. And then at the possible level, we have Julian Quinones and Cesar Huerta. Right attackers, again, here, no definite candidate, but we have a likely candidate with Robert Alvarado, and then possible candidate Jorge Ruvalcaba. And then players coded as central attacking midfielders, again, no definite, but a likely candidate in Gilberto Mora. We were perhaps a bit generous putting him at the likely level, but there he is. And two possible candidates, Efrain Alvarez and Alexis Gutierrez. Moving up to forwards, for centre forwards, we have definite candidate Raul Jimenez, and then two likely candidates in Santiago Jimenez and German Bertarame, I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name there, and also a possible candidate in newcomer Armando Gonzalez. So those are our current options as forwards. That brings us to the end of our review of the candidate. Let's move on to big names off the squad. Well, we did Mexico for the 2025 Gold Cup, which was just a half a year ago. And we generally go from one cup to the next. So, in short, Mexico has no big names off the squad. Well, that we know of, because some of the names we've mentioned here may not be selected. But we have no big names off the squad during this period. We have a lot of business to do in injuries, though, to review injuries. So we begin with defensive midfielder and captain of the team, Edson Alvarez, out with an ankle injury and then for surgery since late January. However, he is expected back on May 18th, which is roughly a month before the Cup begins. The concern there is that his club season will be over, so will he get a chance to regain his fitness? He is captain of the team, though, so we do expect him to be selected. He's a definite candidate, by the way. Next, we have our likely candidate and forward, Santiago Jimenez. He is out for ankle surgery, but is expected back in mid-March of 2026. So we can put him in the expected back category as well. Next, we have Luis Chavez, the central midfielder, a possible candidate for us. He suffered an injury during the 2025 Gold Cup in training there, and is expected back in March of 2026. So Luis Chavez, part of the reason he was just a possible candidate is because he's been out with that injury. So they'll hope he'll be able to return to form. And if he does, I think he would be more than just a possible candidate. Next, we have Cesar Huerta, left attacking midfielder, who's also a possible candidate. He's been out with a groin injury since early November and an unknown return date on him. So we'll have to put Cesar Huerta as an unknown here, and hopefully we'll be able to update this in part 2. And finally, we have Rodrigo Huescas, coded as a right midfielder and a possible candidate for us. He's out with a cruciate ligament injury from early October 2025. In his case, he's not expected back until June 30th, 2026. So it looks like that injury is going to put him out of contention here. So we considered him a possible candidate irrespective of that injury, but it looks like the injury will cost him a spot. Closing thoughts for Mexico? Well, they have a lot of very experienced players who really haven't been playing for them that much recently. Perhaps part of the problem is that the CONCACAF teams have been playing a tournament every year, every summer since the 2021 Gold Cup, I guess. Perhaps earlier in 2020. The Gold Cup is every 2 years. They had the World Cup in 2022, even though that was in the winter. So I'm kind of contradicting myself. But the Copa America 2024 that year. So I wonder if some of these players, drop out for some of the tournament, but whether they will be back and anxious to play in the World Cup. Of course they would. So a little bit hard to say how in or off the squad those players were. They certainly have a lot of experience to draw from, but they haven't really, got a solid team or a consistent group of players that they've been playing with. So there is that. Also in central defence, we see only really 4 viable candidates at the moment. So a bit concerning, because usually they want to bring 5 or 6 defenders, central defenders. They are or did actually play a couple of games in January and February of 2026. We haven't looked closely at those games, but we think that they will be doing some recruitment during those games. So we think there's a lot of decisions to be made for Mexico, and perhaps the March games will give us some insight as to who's going to be chosen, as well as, of course, the pre-tournament games there too. All right, that's our closing thoughts. Let's move on to our preview of part 2 here. So part 2 is going to come out when we know what the final squad is going to be. If they do produce a preliminary squad, we'll let you know who was on it. We'll focus on the surprises there, any notable non-selections or unexpected inclusions, and of course any new players. Mexico doesn't have a lot right now, but perhaps those January, February games will produce a few candidates. So we'll cover the surprises on the final squad. We'll give an update on the injuries of these players and any new injuries that happen between then and the World Cup, which may affect the choices. And finally, we will give our prediction of starters. We didn't focus on that much in part 1 here, but it will be a bit of a focus there in part 2. So that brings us to the end, and hope you enjoyed it. Our hope is that, you know, knowing who the players are on the field and knowing a bit about them kind of increases enjoyment of the cup, and that's why we do this. So we hope you join us for part 2 of Mexico and for our look at other teams.
We would like to thank Michael Foster and Pixabay for the wonderful music in this mediacast. The title of the piece used is Look to the Sky, Tribal Dance Beats Native American.